Imagine composing music for a main character who has no spoken lines, only facial expressions and gestures, actions, in a setting that is incredibly sparse. This task fell to George Dooning, who created one of Star Trek's most beloved musical scores for Season 3, Episode 63, The Empath. Please join me as we look into this marvelous suite of music. Well, the Star Trek Collector's Set liner notes says it best. Kathryn Hays' pantomime performance is voiced by Dooning's score. Well, Dooning's instrumentation for The Empath was almost identical to what he used for Season 2, Return to Tomorrow, consisting of 8 violins, 4 viola, 2 cello, 1 bass, that's 15 string players, then 3 French horns, harp, 2 percussionists, and 0 woodwinds. But, and perhaps most notably, Dooning's then brand new Yamaha E3 organ would provide that wonderful ethereal presence. In an April 1977 interview with Alan Andrus, Mr. Dooning said, "I was fortunate in being the first and having the use of the Yamaha electric organ, then called the E3, an amazing instrument for different sounds, particularly when you are restricted to small orchestras common to TV work." Well, we are fortunate, again, to have obtained a reproduction of Mr. Dooning's original manuscript. It doesn't have every cue, but there is plenty here, and several of the score transcriptions you will see are just taken from the original. Now, some pieces not included needed development, and I've transcribed these by ear. Now, the script for The Empath was one of only 4 that came from a Star Trek viewer. Brand new UC Berkeley grad Joyce Muscat worked as a newspaper reporter and also at a local stage theater when she wrote her first television script called The Answerer. According to Wikipedia, this was partly inspired by the sci-fi novel When Worlds Collide. Well, it was good fortune that her theater employer, Robert Fisher, was an established sitcom writer, and he liked her script so much he became her agent and submitted it to the Star Trek producers, who all thought it had promise. Well, the big bonus for the show's producers? Well, Muscat wasn't in the Screenwriters Guild, so for a bargain, they got a pretty solid story in a time of slashed budgets and the threat of cancellation looming. The Empath was the last episode shot by veteran Star Trek cinematographer Jerry Finnerman, and it was the only episode directed by John Erman, who had directed an Outer Limits episode that had very similar elements, and he made some casting recommendations that, thankfully, included the wonderful Kathryn Hays in the lead role of Gem, which actually earned an Emmy nomination. Prior to her appearance in The Empath, she had a slew of TV guest star roles in the 1960s like Bonanza, Route 66, and so forth. But her longest gig would be her regular role as Kim Sullivan Hughes in the daytime drama As the World Turns, which, get this, lasted 38 years through her retirement in 2010. Kathryn Hays passed away March 25th, 2022. Well, Miss Hays could see that Gem was a study in contradictions. Frail, weak, but powerful. Mute and silent, but expressive. Fearful, but courageous. Naive, but intelligent and eager to learn. The concept of self-sacrifice was not native to her species, and the Vian's goal, however imperfectly pursued, was for Gem to learn this new instinct. Well, of course, they hit a home run when Kirk, Spock, and McCoy arrived. Cue M12, Nova Phase, opens the episode. Duning's 8-note Manara theme sets the dramatic tone under Kirk's log entry as the three materialize on the second planet and enter the observation lab.
Captain's log, stardate 5121.5, orbiting the second planet in the Manarian star system. This star has long given evidence of entering a nova phase, and 6 months ago, a research station was established to make close-up studies of the star as its end approaches.
This theme plays 4 times in progressive keys across different instruments, and we will hear it a lot. Well, the conflict begins with the record tape of Ozaba and Link being disappeared. In cue M13, What Happened? Agitated tremolo strings with a really annoying white noise produced on the Yamaha E3 organ.
What happened to them?
Timpani rolls and dissonant horn glissandi, metal clanking and cymbals create a maddening, helpless situation as our heroes are one by one disappeared like Ozaba and Link. Oh man. Spock locates a life form and our crew sets off. The cue is M15, enter Gem.
Phases on stun.
Suspense is in the lower strings with a pizzicato version of the Manarian passage we heard earlier. Above this, the E3 organ holds a pulsating tone as the three move through areas of dark and then light. Duning then scores a complex chromatic tonal cluster passage in the strings as they cautiously approach Gem. The cue concludes with the initial rendering of the Gem theme. This is where George Duning excels. In my previous videos on Mr. Duning's music, I pointed out his usage of upward melodic motion, like this. It's his trademark, but this one is exceptional. Maybe this is one of your favorites too. In this first cue, we get just a hint, not even 2 measures. Played on the Yamaha E3 organ, and in the score copy, the composer doubled this melody in percussion, look at this, indicating crotales. Now, you percussionists, be patient, but this was a new one on me. Crotales are also known as ancient cymbals, and they are essentially cymbals that are much smaller, more refined, and tuned. Modern crotales are made by well-known cymbal makers, Zildjian, Sabian, Pasty, and others. Their tone is much like that of a glockenspiel or a celeste, only more delicate, and with a long ring. They are laid out in octaves, roughly emulating a keyboard, and are played with either plastic or small brass mallets. Mr. Duning knew that crotales, with the Yamaha E3 organ, would add a sense of mystical purity and intrigue to this supernatural being. The Vians, our antagonists, appear in a flash of light, as out of nowhere. The diminished fifth or tritone interval was sure to appear at some point. The horns announce the Vians with a perfect fifth, G to D, then a diminished fifth to A flat, followed by diminished fifth, E to B flat, and then a perfect fifth to F. It's crazy. And over tremolo strings, disturbing. This theme will accompany the Vian's appearance throughout the episode. While displaying their power, the Vians hold the 3 in a force field. In cue M22, the 6-note Vian theme is used in variation with, again, the static white noise from the E3. The harp has a glissando, diminished chord, up and down, over and over, while strings sustain a diminished tremolo, building tension as the crew struggles against the flashing force field. An outstanding feature starts at bar 11 with the vibraphone playing a fast chromatic scale, sustain pedal down, and the rotating motor on. If you're unfamiliar with how the vibraphone works, check it out.
One of the more interesting features of a vibraphone is the motor. These motors pull a belt that is attached to fans at the top of the resonator, which create a vibrato effect by opening and closing the resonator chambers.
This gives us a pulsating sci-fi aura over top the boldly stated Vian motif. Here's my transcription. Well, our first hint of Gem's supernatural character comes as she is helped up by Kirk. The physical contact with him causes a physical reaction in her, feeling the pain he feels. It's like a wave rushing over her. She turns and notices the gash on the forehead, and Dunning does the rest. There is no dialogue, just silent action. Cue M23, Kirk healed, first captures that pain wave Gem feels. He then slips in the Kirk Enterprise 3 notes, then the Yamaha E3 organ and crotales play her complete theme over strings and vibraphone as she heals his wound. This enchanting melody with its light upward motion is composed in a 5/4 time signature. Watch. Now let's talk about the harmony in the underscore and the tremendous difference that is made by altering just one note a half step. Look at the strings underscoring the Gem theme. Bar 1 spells out a B major 9 chord to an E major 13. That's a D sharp, G sharp, C sharp, pleasing and gentle. The next bar starts the same, B major 9, but then in the second violin, it's a G natural, making this an E minor 13, just one note. What a difference! it alters the entire harmonic structure completely.
Did they hurt you?
Spock's tricorder picks up readings of technical equipment, so they set off again.
Staying here alone could be dangerous. Come with us.
Moving towards the area, violins play a legato Manarian melody, supported in the lower strings by pizzicato quarter notes that really have kind of a pomp and circumstance feel. When they find the lab equipment, the 6-note Vian theme is heard in the Yamaha organ way up high. As the march pace quickens, so does the tempo to a sweeping, dramatic build as Kirk finds the cylinders with Ozaba and Link. Next, George Dooning again displays both his knowledge and appreciation of music from another composer's work. Spock picks up on Kirk's distraction with the Vian and renders a neck pitch. Recall in his score for Season 2's Return to Tomorrow, Dooning used Fred Steiner's Black Ship theme for the villainous Hinnock in Spock's body.
This woman will assist me. You'll take me to your pharmacology laboratory.
Well, here he employs Gerald Fried's theme for Spock from Amok Time, heard first in the opening cue, prying, as Nurse Chapel's Vulcan soup ends up on the wall of the corridor.
Prying, if I want anything from you, I'll ask for it. Captain.
As they step away from the Vian, seemingly to their escape, he gets up and is joined by the other as they calmly watch their captives leave.
Nova. When it does, it'll destroy you, this planet, and this insane torture chamber. Let's get out of here.
Once on the surface, it's clear this was all a setup. Dooning scores a tight, crisp, militaristic drum cadence for the escape attempt, and when Kirk sees the Vians, then turns to confront them, he is slowed way down. Just like the Beatles in Help with the relativity cadenza. I thought the light floating strings on that chromatic passage was perfect. The next cues were not found in the manuscript copy, but I thought they were important to the musical development because they include a new mini-theme extracted from the primary Gem Motif, but richly harmonized to give angst and tension, confusion, questioning, as she witnesses the inflicted torture. They are M32 and 33, Kirk tortured and Kirk's agony. Let's unpack these a bit. Okay, first, check out the rhythm notation in the Gem Motif in 5/4 time. We see a dotted quarter note, eighth note, quarter, and then a half note. Da, 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 right? Well, what Dunning extracted was this brief quote from the full motif, just 2 measures, and it's in 4/4 time, but you can see the same rhythmic elements. Dotted quarter, eighth, quarter, quarter, only here it resolves downward and it's lushly harmonized in the strings. As Kirk endures his torture, this is heard each time we see Gem and her expressions of bewilderment or concern or sympathy. Here's my score transcription.
You have your orders.
What happened to my men?
They are safe.
One specimen. You said one specimen. What happened to my men?
Indeed, the prime ingredient.
Where are they? Tell me. You said you'd let them go.
What is it you want to know?
We seek no information as you mean.
Well, Kirk and Gem are suddenly dropped near Spock and McCoy, and the jolting, paralyzing force field theme kicks off cue M34. McCoy cries to Gem, "Help him!" as he is powerless to do anything for his friend, and, remember, his patient. Well, the horns play the Vian motif over tremolo strings and harp arpeggio, expressing Kirk's suffering. Gem looks at Kirk, so her theme briefly appears over the anguish. This is now a musical conflict. Vian theme versus Gem's theme. McCoy calls out, and the moment holds as Gem turns back, struggling with the choice. Her own protection or compassion for another being. The earlier questioning mini-theme is perfect right here. Gem begins to touch Kirk as her full and beautiful theme on organ and crotales plays over the pastoral strings. On the repeat, as Gem now feels Kirk's pain, Dunning adds a new alteration. Gem's melody doesn't change, only the harmonization. And as the wounds leave Kirk's wrists, the violins soar dramatically in an altered extension of her theme. the wounds appearing on her wrists. The organ crotales again reprise her theme, but she is exhausted and turns tumbling to the floor. A descending harp arpeggio perfectly matches her tumble. McCoy's hypo forces Kirk to rest, but also unwittingly puts Spock in command, stating that he will go with the Vians instead of the captain. Meanwhile, Gem is witnessing this idea of self-sacrifice for the first time. The next cue also starts with Freed's Spock theme from Amok Time, first softly in the strings. As Gem turns to Spock, perplexed, the questioning theme plays again. Then Gem's hand on Spock's shoulder. Jerry Finneman executes a perfect dolly shot where the camera physically moves in, and she seems to gain understanding as her primary theme is heard. As Spock reacts to McCoy's hypo, Freed's theme here is marked agitato at an andante tempo as he protests, but a dizzying, descending chromatic passage from the strings ends with a plop as he slumps over.
Choice has been made.
Dunning writes a 2-bar horn passage as Bones tells Gem to stay there. His friends will take care of her. And Gem's closing theme is just superb. This time, the violins playing and ending with that same altered minor 13th harmony. Well, there is a key turning point that I didn't transcribe, and it wasn't in the reproduction, but it deserves mention. The cue is M45, Gem Wistful.
Completed, Captain. The adjustments are delicate. They may not survive more than even one use. However, there should be sufficient energy to transfer us to the Enterprise.
Gem's reaction is so perfect as she moves to pick up McCoy's medical gear. Again, no words, but volumes spoken. The noble French horn trio signals Kirk's agreement. They must go after McCoy. Well, you know the story. They find Bones near death. It's an ugly scene as Gem watches in horror. M51, poor McCoy, is heard as Kirk and Spock rush to him. As they try to care for their friend, realizing nothing will help, QM52, Bedside Manner, shows Gem withdrawing, her questioning theme, resignation. as Spock tenderly holds McCoy. Again, the French horn trio evokes nobility and faithfulness within our trio.
Can't we do something? I'm afraid not.
M54 through 60 is a mini suite of 7 cues totaling 4 minutes 32 seconds and dubbed Time Grows Short as Gem engages in healing the mortally wounded McCoy. Well, I want to pause a moment to consider that these composers had only a sequence log to work from, sort of a technical script with cue descriptions and timing blocks, that kind of thing. They would get a screening of how the show would look, but in the 60s, that was really it. No videotape, no computer files, nothing. So they had to rely on the basics: solid thematic development, smart orchestration, and their deep musical knowledge and experience. Well, a surprise at the start, Gem's theme here is played in 3/4 time. The same rhythmic elements, just different.
His death will not serve it. But her willingness to give her life for him will. You were her teachers.
We were. What could she learn from us?
Well, as Gem sits beside the dying McCoy, the Vians notice, behold. Dunning uses the expression marking affrettando. I had to look this one up. Becoming faster as if excited, followed by calando, gradually decreasing in tempo and volume. Well, he marks quietly as the violins play the Gem theme. But only 3 bars later, he says, with mounting intensity, as they embellish the theme to a climax, while Gem takes on McCoy's wounds. This engages the audience's heart and mind as we go through what Gem goes through. And after all, maybe that is the real empathy. Some of the best moments of Season 3 were accompanied by the music from this episode by George Dunning. Recall this scene, Beale pursuing Loci through the corridors of the Enterprise.
Loci has just arrived on deck 5.
Or this moment, as Kirk pleads with Natira to understand the truth.
Because a flaw developed in the controls. And unless we correct it, Yonada will kill millions of people and destroy a world it doesn't even know.
Why should the truth be kept from us? Why should the creators keep us in darkness? No. No. You do not speak the truth. I believe only the oracle. I believe.
Both of these use cue M61, Don't Touch Me, track from the Empath. This cue was also excluded from the manuscript copy, but again, I felt it was important enough to transcribe for our study. The rhythmic signature of the Gem theme is copied in the horns, but with much more intensity, and underscored with tremolo strings. This is as Gem struggles back to McCoy, and her melody starts as she begins to touch him. But McCoy can't let her suffer. This reprises the initial 2 bars, then moves into an andante section, rebuilding intensity. He pushes her away and says, "Don't touch me." Dooning has upper strings and organ in a tight, diminished cluster, chromatically moving upward as Kirk vainly struggles against the force field. I will always associate this with the Beale and Loci chase. Spock is able to quickly quell emotion, and as the field weakens around him, the chromatic passage is downward and diminishing. The piece concludes with the first violins rendering the Gem theme over just a beautiful string underscore. Ultimately, Kirk convinces the Vians of their hypocrisy in hoping to instill high virtues into Gem while ignoring those same virtues in themselves. QM62 is Vian Farewell and summarizes much of what we've heard through the ordeal. Mr. Dooning's manuscript is featured for you music readers. Watch for the awkward edit on page 6.
Here are 4 lives for you. We will not leave our friend. You've lost the capacity to feel the emotions you brought Gem here to experience. You don't understand what it is to live. Love and compassion are dead in you. You're nothing but intellect.
Farewell.
Okay, well, there's one more. A quick tongue-in-cheek twist on Jerry Fried's Spock theme right at the end.
Mr. Spock, can you be prevailed upon to bring them the news?
Possibly, Captain. I shall certainly give the thought all the consideration it is due.
Mr. Sulu, ahead, walk back or 2.
So we're well along in exploring the great music from Season 3. There are 2 more episodes scored by George Dooning, and Alexander Courage returned to score another pair of episodes. But next we will look into Fred Steiner's final work, which yielded much of the soundscape of Season 3.
Brain and brain, what is brain?
Trust me. Well, until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.